So, welcome, Nalu, a familiar face right here on the Good Up FM socials, as well as sonically. We've been playing your music as well. It's so good to have you as part of our Youth Day movement and concert.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really happy to be here.
Oh man, we've been spoken. We haven't been spoken. We've been speaking. Speaking for a minute now, and I'm always so inspired when I leave your space because I feel like you definitely have something to say, and it's very apparent in both your music and in your interviews, whenever I chat to you. So let's get into a little bit about your energy and your fresh energy and how you sort of translate that into everything that you do. You're part of the new wave of urban artists in South Africa. So do you want to talk about how that translates into your music?
Sure. What a question. I think, one thing that I always say is that when it comes to working with people, for example, like if we're collaborating creatively or, just coming up with a concept together, I think that energy is very, very, very important. Our energy has to be in sync in order for us to create something that's authentic and original and something that's pure. And for me personally, as soon as I feel like the energy is off, I know that I'm not creating authentically, So yeah, I think energy is a huge factor in what you put into your work and also the final product, I think, for me personally, I always try to be very intentional about my word and what it is that I'm saying through my art. And I hope that gets received in the way that I intended to, so yeah.
And I think it does. I think people feel it. I think people hear it as well, which is so beautiful. I mean, I had a couple of conversations and one of the artists mentioned that their music is healing, or at least that's what they want to put out there. And I found that really beautiful.
Yeah, no, definitely. I share that sentiment with them. I think, art for me, like the reason why I create what I create is for that purpose of sort of collective healing, like if someone can sort of hear or like listen to my music and feel seen or heard or acknowledged in any way, then I've done my job, I think it's just like sort of like communal healing. I feel like the whole world needs a lot of healing. So yeah, it's dope to be a part of that as well,
Yeah, 100%. So your track's water-based as well as Lockdown Blues, a fave, really well received. So do you ever get the feeling when you hear them on radio that, oh my God, that is my song playing? Or if you're part of a campaign using your music, does that feeling ever go away?
Yeah, it's super wild, man. Like, cause I don't think that I make like conventional music. I don't think that I make radio play commercial type music. So it's super wild that my music is being played on radio and that it's reaching the ears, you know what I mean? And I think like it's such a privilege to be able to be given that space and that platform. So thank you so much to you and, to the Good Up team, because it's like there's space that's being made for different types of artists and different messages and stuff. And I always when I started making music, I never thought that I was going to make my intention was never to be like, yeah, there's going to be a radio banger. Like, this is going to be number one on the radio charts. My intention was always just to make something that was true to me. Do you know what I mean? And for that to be received like through radio in that way is mind blowing. So yeah, thank you so much as well for this space. I'm like deeply humbled and grateful for that. So yeah.
It's such a pleasure. I think that Good Up FM is all about good music. And so anything that falls into that category, bring it on. We'll take it.
Yeah, definitely.
You on music being ever changing and ever evolving, sometimes it almost feels overwhelming, like you can't even, catch up or catch your breath. So do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, to speak about the music, like being ever changing, I think in terms of my own sound, I'm not sure if this is answering your question, but I think that we as human beings are ever changing and we are ever evolving. And, today you're a different person to who you were yesterday. And I think that we're always trying to be better than the person that we were yesterday. And, to think that your sound or your flow or your writing or anything will stay the same over time, for me doesn't make sense, because we are growing as human beings, and I think it's dope to, what I try to do at least is like to draw from different influences that I've grown up with and new sounds that I hear, new experiences that I have, people that I observe, the way that I observe myself, and like draw from those influences in order to continue to build on my sound and to continue to build on my art. Everyone says that I'm an R&B artist, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you want to box it into something, I guess, but like, I genuinely believe that like my music is quite genre fluid, in that it draws on a lot of sort of different genres, from like jazz to classical to lo-fi to obviously R&B and soul, but like in an alternative way, you know what I mean? And a lot of the new stuff that I have coming out later this year will definitely like show that sort of what do you put it, like spectrum of sounds, so yeah, I think it's dope to be an ever-changing artist, because we are human beings, ever-changing, so yeah.
Agreed. I really love that. And I also think it allows for growth and development instead of, like you said, being boxed in a certain way. Yeah. So speaking on that, what do you think makes you different as an artist in South Africa? I know you touched on a couple of points, but you now have mass appeal, I guess, to an extent, because Good FM is a commercial station, and also your indie alternative vibe. So what makes you different?
Sure. I'm like, where do I even start? I think a huge part, or something that has always made me feel different, like aside from the music, just as a person throughout my life, was just the way that I was brought up. I didn't really have a like regular upbringing. I lived in a different country for a while, and then I came back here, and just like culturally, I didn't grow up in the same way that my cousins did, or do you know what I mean? And I think my parents are also like super open-minded, and like very like pushing my brother and I to sort of branch out into new realms and new ways of thinking. So I also have to give them a lot of credit for the person that I am today, I think what makes me different would just be like, the fact that I have my own story, and I've never met anyone who has my story. And I guess everyone has their own story, but yeah, I got the source, and I got something that I can bring to the table that I haven't seen in anyone else. Just like I can say that for so many other artists, and that's I think that's what's beautiful, in that you can appreciate and celebrate the unique differences in each artist, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you answered the question well. I love that. I'm getting back to that. Sauce. So, right? You are part of the youth of South Africa, but if you got a platform like you have right now, or use your own platform to give a particular message to encourage the kids and the youth of this country, what would you say to them?
I think I would just say stay true to yourself. If you think about why we celebrate Youth Day, looking back on like the Soweto uprising and what happened back in 1976, it's like those students fought for what they knew was true for them. Those students fought for their education and for their right to like decolonial education as well, and that's what they knew that they needed for themselves. They were being true to themselves and fighting for that. And I draw so much strength for like those students who came before us, and also having gone to UCT and having gone through like Fees Must Fall and stuff. It's something that sits very close to my heart. Like just like the access to that sort of freedom, whether it's education or freedom to access to the economy, or and my dad and both my parents, but more my dad was quite a pioneer during that time as well, so he always speaks to us about staying true to ourselves. So yeah, I think that's the in carrying the legacy of the people who came before me and my ancestry, I would continue that, stay true to yourself. Yeah.
That's great. What can we look forward to seeing on your performance on the 16th of June?
What a question. I think I'm definitely gonna give you guys what you expect, but also a little bit of unexpected. So yeah. I'll just say that.
Okay, love that combo. Looking forward to your new music being released this year, and we'll continue playing your vibes and your sound. Nalu, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
This is Good Hope FM.